She was pinned down by her own brothers and told her future was already decided. But one cowboy stopped to ask a question no one else did. "What do you want?" What happened next changed both their lives forever. Watch till the end, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and share for more Wild West stories. The hot desert wind carried dust across the open plains of Arizona as Ayanna struggled against the hands holding her in place. Her brothers were not cruel men in their own eyes. They believed they were protecting the old ways of their people, but to Ayanna, their grip felt like a prison. She had done nothing except speak honestly. She wanted a future she could choose herself. Around them, a few tribe members watched in silence, unwilling to interfere. Her voice cracked as she cried again for help, not knowing whether anyone would hear her. A few hundred yards away, Daniel Carter paused while repairing a broken fence line on his ranch. At first, he thought the sound was only the wind, but then he heard the cry again, clear, frightened, and desperate. He mounted his horse without hesitation and rode toward the voices. As he approached, he saw the scene unfold. Two men holding a young woman down while she tried to pull free. Daniel slowed his horse and stopped at a respectful distance. He knew this was not his world, but something about the fear in her eyes made him step forward. One of the brothers warned him firmly to leave. Daniel kept his voice calm. He explained that he wasn't looking for trouble and had no interest in disrespecting anyone. Then he looked directly at Ayanna and asked a simple question. "Do you want to stay here?" For a moment, no one spoke. Ayanna's breathing slowed as she realized someone was finally asking what she wanted. She shook her head and quietly answered, "No." Daniel nodded once and said no one should be forced into a decision against their will. The air became tense. The brothers exchanged looks, surprised that the stranger had not come with anger, but with calm confidence. Daniel stepped off his horse and offered Ayanna his water canteen. She accepted it with shaking hands. He did not order her to come with him and did not challenge her family. Instead, he simply stood nearby and said she could decide for herself. That small moment changed everything. The silence stretched until finally her brothers loosened their grip and stepped back. Ayanna stood slowly and looked across the desert toward the distant ranch lands. She had never imagined freedom would arrive in such a quiet way. Daniel returned to his horse and said she could come if she wanted a safe place to think, or stay if she chose. No promises, no pressure. Just a choice. Ayanna took a deep breath, wiped away her tears, and walked forward. As the sun lowered over Arizona, she realized this was the first step toward a future that belonged to her. Daniel brought Ayanna to his small ranch outside the town limits, where the desert slowly gave way to open fields and quiet evenings. He showed her a small guest room and left fresh water outside the door. He asked no questions. To Daniel, trust could not be rushed. Ayanna expected curiosity or demands for explanations, but none came. For the first time in many days, she sat without fear of being judged or controlled. That night, she watched the stars through the window and wondered whether a person could truly begin again. The next evening, while the sun faded behind the hills, Ayanna finally spoke. She told Daniel she never wanted to leave her people behind. She respected their traditions and the life she had known growing up, but she could not accept decisions made without her voice. She explained that wanting freedom did not mean rejecting family. Daniel listened quietly and repaired a saddle while she talked. When she finished, he simply said, "Wanting a choice doesn't make you disloyal." Those words stayed with her longer than she expected. Days turned into weeks. Life at the ranch followed simple routines. Ayanna helped feed the horses, carried water, and learned how Daniel managed the land. In return, she showed him skills she had learned growing up, reading weather patterns, tracking animal movement. and making useful repairs with limited supplies. Their conversations became easier. Slowly, her guarded expression disappeared and laughter returned. She no longer counted every passing hour with worry. The ranch stopped feeling like a place to hide and started feeling like a place where she could breathe freely. One quiet morning, the sound of horses broke the calm. Daniel looked toward the gate and saw several riders approaching. Ayana recognized them immediately. Her brothers had returned. Her heartbeat quickened, but she did not step back. The riders stopped outside the house. One brother demanded she come home. Daniel walked forward but kept his voice calm. He said he would not decide for her and would not stop her if she wanted to leave. Then he stepped aside and allowed her to speak for herself. Everyone waited. The desert wind moved across the fields as Ayana stood silently for a moment. Then she lifted her head and spoke clearly. She said she still cared about her family and her people, but she would no longer live without a voice of her own. She chose her own future. Her brothers looked at her for a long time before turning their horses around. No arguments, no anger, just silence. As the sunset covered the ranch in golden light, Ayana understood that courage had opened the door, but kindness had given her the strength to walk through it.